Welcome to another episode of Quantum Logic. I'm your host, Spencer Scott. I want to ask you something in this episode. Have you ever stood at a funeral, looked at the casket and wondered, is that really the end? Or maybe more curiously, does it have to be? We humans are the only species that truly contemplates our own mortality. We've built myths, religions, and now machines, all in pursuit of one core idea, living beyond death. Whether it was Egyptian pharaohs buried with treasure or modern billionaires funding longevity startups, the story hasn't just changed, just the tools. AI isn't just helping us search better or generate funny memes anymore, it's probing the boundaries of life itself, of memory, biology, and even identity. And for the first time in history, it's raising a serious question that doesn't just belong to philosophers or science fiction writers. Could AI help us live forever? That's what we're exploring today. This episode is about the possibility of living forever and what it might mean for you and for me. We'll look at digital minds, aging cells, AI-powered memories, and simulated worlds. And by the end, I'll ask you to answer the same question I've been wrestling with. If you could live forever, would you want to? Let's get into it. I want you to imagine a future where your thoughts, memories, and personality could be transferred from your biological brain into a digital one, where you could live on, not in a body, but as pure software. That's the essence of digital consciousness uploading. It's the holy grail of AI meets immortality. And while we're far from achieving it, some scientists believe it's theoretically possible. Current research is fixated on understanding the connectome, the complex web of neurons and synapses that define your brain's structure. The connectome is like a Google Maps of your brain, every neural pathway charted in extreme detail. Institutions like the Blue Brain Project and MIT's Center for Brains, Minds and Machines are working to simulate brain functions at an increasingly granular level. But here's the catch. Mapping even 1 cubic millimeter of brain tissue can require more data than the entire internet. We're talking about hundreds of petabytes of data per person, and that's just the architecture. We haven't even touched on the dynamics of consciousness. Let me ask you this. Even if we could upload the mind, would it feel like you? Or would it just behave like you? And that also leads us to some even deeper questions. Is continuity of consciousness necessary for immortality? And what if we don't need to upload our minds? What if we could just stop aging? While digital immortality is still a distant dream, biological immortality, or at least radical life extension, is racing forward and being turbocharged by AI. AI isn't just a lab assistant anymore, it's becoming the lead scientist. Companies like Altos Labs, backed by billionaires like Jeff Bezos, are using machine learning to decode the aging process at a molecular level. AI sifts through terabytes of genomic, proteomic, and metabolic data to identify potential interventions that slow or even reverse cellular aging. We have another major focus as well: cellular reprogramming. It's the idea that we can rewind adult cells back to a more youthful, stem-like cell state. In 2020, scientists partially reprogrammed the optic nerves of blind mice, restoring their vision, and AI played a key role in identifying those genetic switches. We're also seeing AI optimize CRISPR gene editing techniques to reduce trial and error in targeting aging-related genes. It's the same pattern. AI speeds up what would take humans decades to decode. So while we're not cheating death yet, we're certainly negotiating with it. And another interesting question is, will we reach a point where humans can live to, say, 150, 200 years, or even indefinitely? If we do, AI will most certainly be the co-author of that story. Now, let's shift from living forever to being remembered forever, or perhaps more strangely, still being here after you're gone. That to me sounds more feasible as a technology. AI is already being used to recreate the voices, personalities, and conversational patterns of the deceased. And I found this quite fascinating, that in Arizona in June 2025, a judge allowed an AI avatar of a deceased crime victim to read an impact statement. This marked the first time a United States court had allowed an AI-generated victim to make this kind of beyond-the-grave statement, and likely the first time something like this had occurred anywhere in the world. And we have another example with Project December. This allows people to talk to simulations of lost loved ones by feeding old texts, emails, and social media posts into a language model. One user had a heart-wrenching conversation with a chatbot trained on his deceased fiance's messages. It wasn't perfect, but it felt real enough to make him cry. Microsoft has even filed a patent for a chatbot that can imitate a specific person, living or dead, using data like voice recordings, social posts, and more. In essence, it's a personalized AI replica of your personality. And tools like Replica AI already let users create virtual companions that learn and evolve over time, mimicking emotional intimacy. But as we get better at preserving memory and mimicking personality, are we inching toward a world where the line between replica and reality starts to blur? I'll ask you this. You might not be immortal, but what if your loved ones never really have to say goodbye? And this brings us to the philosophical and ethical questions about AI and immortality. If we create an AI that walks like you, talks like you, remembers your childhood, and even argues like you after 3 cups of coffee, does that make it you? Or is it just a high-fidelity imitation? Philosophers often call this the ship of Theseus paradox. If you replace every plank of a ship over time, is it still the same ship? Now swap out planks for neurons. Does that change the equation? And there are also pressing ethical dilemmas. Who owns your digital twin? Could it be sold? Could it be manipulated or hacked? And would corporations monetize versions of the dead for profit? Digital immortality isn't just about science. It's about control, identity, autonomy, and consent. And here's the ultimate question. If multiple versions of you exist, each based on the same data, who gets to be you? All of them? None of them? It's a total labyrinth philosophers are only beginning to navigate. Let's take this topic a little further. If we accept the premise that consciousness could exist digitally, then what about simulated realities? Some futurists propose that AI will eventually create virtual worlds so immersive and intelligent that digital consciousness could not only survive in them, but thrive. Imagine a post-death existence where your mind lives on in an AI-generated paradise of your choosing. No pain, no aging, infinite possibilities. It's the next iteration of the afterlife, not religious, but rendered in pixels. And if you have Netflix, go and look for a show called Upload, which is a science fiction comedy drama that explores this topic. And here's where it gets truly wild. What if it's already happened? This is known as simulation theory, and it's been popularized by thinkers like Nick Bostrom and Elon Musk recently, and they suggest that we may already be living in a simulated universe, possibly created by advanced AI. In this view, immortality might not be something we achieve in the future, but a state we've always been in without knowing it. So another question is, if AI becomes powerful enough to host billions of conscious beings in simulated worlds, isn't that the same as immortality? So let's bring this back to the questions we started with. Could AI help us live forever? And maybe more provocatively, what if this is already happening? If our memories can be preserved, if our bodies can be restored, if our minds can be simulated, and if entire worlds can be built to host us, then what is immortality really? Is it the continuation of you, moment by moment, neuron by neuron, or is it something fuzzier, your voice, your memories, your influence lingering on in code long after your heart stops beating? Because immortality through AI might not be a singularity moment, it might be a slow progression into advanced software. And that raises some other questions, not technical, not scientific, but deeply human. If we do live forever, digitally, biologically, or virtually, will we still be us? Or will we become something else? Maybe the real question we should be asking isn't can we live forever, but should we? Thanks for listening to this episode of Quantum Logic. If this sparked your imagination or challenged it, I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with your friends and your colleagues. And until next time, stay curious, and as always, stay human. Bye for now.